There was a dark secret hidden in a remote abandoned mansion surrounded by a forest. The legend was about the ghost of a mad girl whose soul remained attached to this place because of an unfair fate. People said that she was waiting for retribution and came to everyone who dared to cross the threshold of this house. One day, a group of passers-by, fascinated by paranormal phenomena, decided to solve the mystery of the mansion. From the outside it seemed that everything was calm, but as soon as you went inside, ominous footsteps and malicious laughter echoed through the dark corridors. The lights flickered, the doors creaked, and the paintings on the walls seemed to come to life. As the passers-by went deeper into the room, one by one they began to disappear. Only whispers and agonized screams remained from the group. No one could figure out what was going on. Locked in a narrow room, the last remaining friends awaited their fate with trepidation. From the group of passers-by remaining in the abandoned mansion, fear and anxiety gripped everyone. As they continued on their way, they began to notice strange events. Shadows moved in the corners of the eyes, the images on the walls seemed alive, and a cold wind penetrated through the cracks and made them tremble. With each step, the group faced new challenges. One of them was overtaken by an indescribable horror, and he disappeared without a trace, leaving only a faint echo of his cry in the memory of the others. No one knew what had happened to him, and everyone who remained felt that they were carrying a heavy burden of fear and ignorance. Another member of the group stumbled on a hidden suspicious step and could not resist. He fell and hurt himself so badly that he lost consciousness. The others tried to help, but his condition was so severe that they could do nothing but wait, hoping that he would come to his senses. Passing through a hall with lush carpets and huge mirrors, one of the band members saw her reflection, but noticed that it was different from what she was doing. The mirror showed her in the form of a terrifying ghost who smiled ominously. This caused her the strongest horror, and she immediately turned to run away, but the mirror began to distort, reflecting more and more terrible images, causing her heart to beat faster. Soon the group found several closed doors, behind which, perhaps, the answers to their questions were hidden. However, the fear of obsession and uncertainty made them hesitate. They knew that they could face the unknown and possibly terrible, but they gathered their willpower and decided to move on. So the agonizing time went on, each step brought new horrors and trials. They heard whispers in the silence, saw strange shadows, their hearts were pounding so loudly that they could hear themselves. A group of passers-by continued their way through an abandoned mansion shrouded in darkness and riddles. Every step was accompanied by tension, their minds were at the limit of their strength, and their hearts were beating faster, as if they wanted to get out of their chest. They could not understand what forces were holding them in this gloomy place, but they were determined to find answers. Suddenly, one of the band members disappeared into one of the dark rooms. The others heard only an ominous scream, and then silence. Only a fragment of something unidentified remained at his hands. The hearts of the others were frozen with horror, but they knew that they could not stop, because their task was to uncover the mystery of this place. Soon another member of the group accidentally stumbled and fell on a huge stone. A fracture and instant loss of consciousness were inevitable. The others stood, overcome with impotence. Their eyes were full of tears, but they knew that they could not help their comrade. They were trapped in this terrible place, and every minute it was getting scarier and more hopeless. Every corridor and every room was shrouded in mystery and fear. Some of the participants saw strange shadows sliding along the walls, as if they wanted to confuse them and lure them into the unknown. Ominous footsteps echoed through the quiet passages, and the group began to lose orientation in this gloomy maze. When they got to the next door, a member of the group decided to look inside. There a terrible sight awaited her. She saw her comrade, whose soul seemed to be absorbed by a dark essence. He stood speechless, deprived of his consciousness, but his eyes shone with an inhuman light. The rest of the band members stood paralyzed with fear, not knowing what to do. They felt that the dark forces of this place were trying to capture them, to take over their minds and souls. They understood that they could not trust their feelings, because the darkness of this place distorted their perception of reality. One of the participants, feeling exhausted, suddenly heard a quiet whisper that seemed to come from everywhere. The voice spoke incomprehensible words to her, causing her to fall into confusion. "You are already lost. Stop your search. You will never be able to solve the mystery of this place. It consumes souls." She staggered back, clenching her hands into fists, fighting the temptation to believe these words. But she didn't want to give up. She knew that answers were waiting for them ahead, and she couldn't leave her friends. Passing through the dark halls, they saw airy silhouettes that seemed to be images of the long dead. They appeared and disappeared, causing the group to doubt their sanity. But they kept moving, even though their legs seemed heavier than a mountain. Suddenly, in one of the rooms, they found records that pointed to the terrible past events that took place in this mansion. Terrible stories about the victims, about the torment, about the curse that fell on this place. But the notes were confusing and incoherent, as if someone deliberately wanted to confuse their true meaning. Gradually, the group began to lose control of time. Hours and hours seemed to be a meaningless abstraction, and their consciousness seemed to be carried away into the past and the future at the same time. It seemed to them that they had spent an eternity here. A group of passers-by continued their dangerous journey through an abandoned mansion surrounded by a gloomy atmosphere. Every step was accompanied by tension, their hearts were beating faster with excitement, and their hands were sweating with fear. They were determined to solve the mystery of this place, but every door, every corridor, seemed an insurmountable test. Soon the group discovered an ancient library filled with dusty books. The battered pages contained ancient stories about the mansion's past, and each of the participants found bits of truth in them. These recordings dispelled some of the fog of mystery, revealing the past of this place and the tragic fate of the mad girl. However, after reading these scary stories, the group was faced with a new question: what brought them here? What forces forced them to look for answers in this cursed place? The answers to these questions seemed as unattainable as the true origin of the sinister entity. Gradually, the group began to realize that they were not just random visitors in this gloomy maze. They were chosen by some higher order of events to solve the mystery and free this soul from the shackles of the past. Their spirits were devastated, but they understood that they could not give in. Dear viewers, if you liked this story, if you felt the true fears and emotions that permeate our channel, then please subscribe to our MrScary Stories channel. Here you will find even more mysterious and terrifying stories that will make your heart beat faster and your skin crawl. We try to create content that causes real fears and awe, and your support will help us continue our mystical journey through the dark corners of the worlds of stories. Each of your subscriptions becomes an important symbol for us that our labors are not in vain, and that we can share unique stories with you. Only your subscription will provide us with the opportunity to continue exploring abandoned mansions, vague forest paths and mysterious secrets of the past. We promise to continue to surprise you and make you hold your breath when you watch new videos on our channel. Thank you for staying with us. Your subscriptions and likes are our main motivation. And remember, the truth can be scarier than fantasy, and we are happy to share these scary stories with you. See you to new mysterious meetings on the MrScary Stories channel.